our, you can find the link to that on our Sierra Club website or Facebook page. And let me turn that off too.
I will turn it up a little bit. I can barely hear the woman.
You can barely hear. Can you hear me now?
It's a little, I'm turning it up on my end. Let's see if that works.
Okay. Thank you. If I stand over here, is it better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna have to be over here. All right, well, if you're at home, thank you for coming, and let me get this going. Okay, that's better. I have to stand a little bit back because we're getting some feedback from the mic in the room. Okay. All right, well, I'm Christine Von Collins. I'm the chair of the local group. Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Pat Luck is here in the house. She's our vice chair, and Laura's here, and Nina's here. Star Hazard is at home running the computer from home. We appreciate that very much. Thank you. Did I say Nina? Nina's in the room. All right. Well, we are going to have our Robert Lunch Group oyster roast this next weekend. Hope you got your tickets. Go to Eventbrite if you haven't. You can find that link on our Facebook page or our Facebook or our Robert Lunch Group website. So lots of different ways.
It's on the next slide.
It's on the next slide. All right, there we go. There's a link down there, but an easier way is to go to the Facebook page or the website. And it's at Bowen's Island, and it's off Volley Road. We're gonna have music by Lime and the Coconuts. We're gonna have a lot of fun with them. We got oysters, chili, lots of different kinds of chili. It's potluck chili. Veggie dogs, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, which is always excellent, and beer and wine with donation. So and we need volunteers. We do have many volunteers, but we still need more. And what do you do? We're asking you to serve chili, serve ice cream, serve hot dogs, and just have a good time with it. So we look forward to seeing you Sunday. The bottom picture shows some of the items that will be auctioned off. We've got a great item auction this year, and lots of fun to be had. So come on out and enjoy some good weather. We saw the weather. It's supposed to be a bright sunny day, so come on out with us. Hey Star, do you want to go over the outings for us?
Sure. As you can see, we have 2 more outings counting the oyster roast this month. Our oyster roast, of course, this weekend, and then a mountain bike trip on the Moultrie Passage of the Palmetto Trail, coincidentally. And this is not a trivial bike ride. It's still pretty early in the season, and we wind up going almost 30 miles. So you need to kind of get your muscles and your butt in shape before you try to undertake this, because we want it to be a good time, not a painful one. On the 8th of April, Bill Turner will lead a trip on Mosquito Creek, and that should be a lot of fun. And then on the 13th, note that this is on a Thursday where the others are on Saturday or Sunday. On the 13th, Bill will lead a trip in the Rimini or Sparkleberry Swamp. And Bill describes Rimini Swamp in spring as perhaps the most beautiful place he ever goes to. There'll be green popping out all over and so on. And for that matter, when we go through the Moultrie Passage, we should see lots of spring pastel colors on that trip as well. So come on out and join us. Each of these outings promises to be one of the great experiences of your life.
Thank you, Star. Thank you, Star. So this picture is from last weekend, and that is a group of people out at Bear Island. And what they're doing is they're looking at sundew that's on the path out there at Bear Island. And the sundews are small, very small plants that are carnivorous. And yeah, if you take your binoculars and you turn them around and you get really close to the plant, you can see the little bit of moisture on the leaves, and those little tiny dots of moisture are what helps that plant grab its prey. So it's really cool. That was a great outing, and hope to see you on some future outings. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to show. Let me see if I can do this real quick. We have a website. I can get this one out of the way. Stop sharing for a second. Okay, this is the South Carolina Sierra Club website, and this is our legislative tracker. So if you were able to make our meeting last month, you all heard Benton Linsky, who is our lobbyist. He was talking about these bills that are going through the State House this year. So we've got all of these bills, and he has updated this legislative tracker. These are the House bills and Senate bills, and it tells whether the Sierra Club supports the piece of legislation or not. And you know, what we need is for people to call their representatives and, you know, voice your support or not. So each one of these you can click on, and it'll take you to more information so that you know what you're talking about when you call your representative. So this is a great website, and I encourage you to take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay. All right, so next month, we're going to have Emily Zucchino, who is with the Dogwood Alliance. And I don't know if you know about this, but a lot of our southern forests are being harvested to chip the wood and send it overseas to be used to create electricity. And a lot of these countries that are doing that, taking this wood from our southern forest, they're saying that that's an environmentally conscious way to make energy. And we kind of disagree on that. So we encourage you to come next month and listen to Emily talk about this topic and find out how it harms our climate, our communities, and our forests. This meeting, I believe, is just going to be a Zoom meeting next month. So we will see you all on Zoom next month. All right, tonight, Marie Butler is in the house. She is the Low Country Trail Coordinator for the Palmetto Conservation Foundation, and she works with this foundation. She's been working with them for 7 years. And what she's doing is she's getting people out into the forest, spending time on the trail, and volunteering to do service on these trails and keep up these trails. So we really appreciate all of the work she's been doing, and we'll hear more about that. So come on up, Marie. Thank you very much.
Hope everybody can hear me. And I will apologize for the last slide that's on this. If it's loud, I'm sorry, I don't control the volume on that thing, but it's kind of. But like she said, Palmetto Conservation Foundation, and we're actually changing the name to Palmetto Trail because that's, we are a foundation that's nonprofit and that does deal with a lot of conservation issues as well as the trail, but we're better known right now as Palmetto Trail. So, I have been with them 7 years. Sometimes people say, what did you do before that? And I said, well, for 29 years and 9 months, after that, I retired from the Forest Service. Don't shoot me, I'm okay, I promise. But, I spent 29 years with them here on this Francis Marion Forest the whole time. So I have a great love for the forest and for everything out there. So
Christina, did you want to do this?
I can fence it here. I can do it. I'm multitasker. I have a 6-year-old grandchild. The Palmetto Trail is a statewide trail. It started in conception back in 1994. On this, some people say the Santee Passage was the first passage open. I disagree with them. I hiked and laid out through the swamps of every bit of the first passage of the swamp box. So, and if you really go back to the Boy Scouts that laid in the original swamp box trail, they were, and it was in the 70s. So the trail on the forest has been there a really long time. Right now, we're currently hanging somewhere between 30 and 40, 34. We keep adding passages. We're doing what was going to be the Cooks Mountain between 601, between Wateree and Fort Jackson, but they're changing the name from the Cooks Mountain to the Boyd Passage, I think is what it's officially going to be called. And so that's the newest passage. Right now, we're around 360 so miles that is open. The areas that don't have passages open yet, if you're a true through hiker from end to end, you get to pick whichever county road you want to hike on, dirt road or whatever you want to explore to get to the next passage. The 301 bridge, very exciting. It is opening up hopefully by the end of spring, and they are not turning hikers away, but they have during the week, they have construction going on. So you may or may not be able to cross 301 bridge as a hiker. They will not allow any vehicles of any kind whatsoever on that 301 bridge. So if you're a trail hiker, if you're just crossing, they will more than likely let you cross. But unless they've got a piece of equipment there that they need protected, because they are doing a lot of work on it. And then once that opens, you will be able to hike from Awadal at Buckall all the way to Columbia with very little major road hiking. So Santee Passage will always be a road hike, but it goes through the peach orchards of Utahville and those little dirt roads and things. It's not a bad hike. Most of the hikers I've talked to don't see the line that we do have some road hiking, but it's rural roads. I always let people know the most valuable resource that we have is our volunteers. If you have not been on the Highway 52 side to 17A, we put a new trailhead at 17A. So if you've not been between that little 3-mile section, there's been a lot of work in there. And it's got this is a 225-foot boardwalk that the AmeriCorps and volunteers put in, along with a lot of other volunteer work that's done. The one on the far right with the guy with the red shirt, that's on the Wateree. It's a rail to trail passage. The Wateree passage goes over 9 railroad bed trestles. So if you like to hike about 30 feet up in the air and look down where the trestle used to be, it is 10 feet wide. So, and there's rails on the side that you will not fall over, but you can see otters. They will just about always, this time of year through the end of summer, be a snake laying up under those rails or intertwined in the chain link fence, just the way it is. That's where they wait for the lizards and things and to crawl out, or a possum or a raccoon. I've had both of them stare at me. Well, in fact, the day that we were working on the boardwalk here, we had a raccoon that set off the end of one of the posts and just stared at us for a long while. But our volunteers are very much valued to us. The guy that's in the navy blue shirt down on that Wateree Park, he is fixing to turn 80 years old. And he broke my heart and told me he's fixing to retire in May, volunteering. And I'm going like, what? And the guy that's in the blue hat, he retired, and he had some heart issues a couple years ago, so we've lost him, but he's not able to come out anymore. So, you know, age does not matter to us. I take anyone. If you can pick up a board or a hammer or a screwdriver, there's always something to fix. And a lot of times I'll tell you, people will ask me, when do we have volunteers? I said, any day you call me and ask me, can I go out? Do you have a survey? I will take a group out, set up a day and a project, and we'll go fix something, or brush something, or work on something. There's always work on the trail. I was telling one of the ladies, we have an Eagle project going on every Saturday in March. So I have no Saturdays available in March. Weekdays, yes, but not Saturdays. And so this is several of my Eagle project. Yeah, I call them my kids. Because once I spend a year working on their projects with them, I figure they're my kids. That's what I call them. I had a little fella said, why do you call me honey? I said, because I'm old and I can't remember your name. So you get to be honey, it's a problem. This is one of the Boy Scout groups that was building some benches, because I told them I need benches because I get tired of walking all the time with nowhere to sit down. And if you've ever been on the swamp box in the summertime, the chiggers is not what you want to sit in. We have a AmeriCorps program in South Carolina that there is actually one here in Charleston now too, as an environmental. But ours is a trail construction crew. And this is one of our crews that is actually putting in a turnpike. We are trying to make things a little more friendly, that we don't have a lot of bridge structures. So we figured out that we can get freestanding poles from the power companies and put down weed barrier. And the AmeriCorps is really good at putting in gravel, which lets the water filter through, so we're not having to put in a lot of we don't have as much problems with flooding or anything. The water can seep under, through, and out. And these are in that little 3-mile section that I was telling you about. We also have another Southeastern Conservation Corps that comes out sometimes and contacts us. And that is part of that 250-something foot boardwalk. And this place right here is a pitcher plant bog that I have never seen it here before. It just happened that they burned, it rained, and in June of all months, they just popped up everywhere. Never seen them there before. There's not far off the trail, but unless you know where you're looking at, you will never see them. And they're far enough off of the highway that unless you know where they're at, you will never see them. I made the guy that I was with, we go, wait, look, stop. We backed up, pulled off on the side of the road, traipsed through the woods, and because you could see them through the top of the savanna, and it just happened. And this is off of Pathway Creek. It's through a savanna, and I do not know the kinds they are. I have a theory of everything is a pretty. Birds are pretty, the flowers are pretty, everything's pretty, and it's okay. We have an ecosystem, there's so much out on this trail that you can, every time you go, it's different. It looks different, there's something blooming different, there's something always different on the trail. And this is what the Forest Service is classifying as a maritime forest. These palm trees and live oaks have been in this little section at mile 2 on Awadaw. It's near what's called Walnut Grove. There is an old house there. There's a little trail that'll go up to it. If you want to be adventurous, I do say go around the front and then go backwards, because oak trees that are there in the front of that old house are humongous. They're very big oak trees. But this little section is about a mile long, goes through the Awadaw Passage. And it's right on Awadaw Creek in a coastal waterway intersection there. There's a lot of oyster shells, a lot of everything there. My favorite thing is taking pictures of mushrooms that I know nothing about. I just know they're mushrooms and they're pretty, and I love all their colors. And I've seen about every color in the rainbow on the trail. From slimy green, purplish color to oranges, red ones. And I'll go out there sometimes 2 or 3 times in a row. This one down here is kind of a pinkish purple color. And I'm sure some of you know what these are, but I don't. But they're pretty. I forgot what someone told me this one was. It grows in a half moon shape, is the way they run. But we have a lot of hardwood bottoms that are uplands and stuff, and it grows a lot of mushrooms. I will tell you that if I catch you picking mushrooms on my little trail, I'll probably tell you don't do that, because nobody can see them if you pick them. This is my pretties. This was last fall. I happened to be out on the trail working on something, and the flowers were blooming everywhere. Just about every color there is. In fact, in that pitcher plant bog, there must have been about 20 different plants growing in there, and they were all blooming at the same time. And I was trying to take a picture of a bunch of them, but these are over near Cape Gullet that these were taken. So this is in the fall. You would think there'd be nothing out there, but all these fall flowers were in bloom. So just because it's cold in fall doesn't mean there's nothing to look at out there. There is. This is whether it's a group out for a hike or just a single person. This guy here on the right is from Buford. He was it Marine Station over there? And I tried to convince him. It was in June, and I tried to tell him don't do this. And I even staged water against his wishes, and he got to the last 20 miles and did not make it. I said, but if you'd have called me, I'd have helped you. Because no, you don't understand. There was just too many mosquito bites, too many sugar bites, too many everything, and I'm just quit. So, but this was one of the hikes that I had done on the trail. Last year, and we're trying to get back to doing monthly hikes, but I've just got so many Boy Scouts trying to do Eagle projects that program has kind of grown a lot, and I don't have a lot of Saturdays free for them, but I will do a hike any weekday that anybody wants to go out. I love hiking. I had a group call me from Columbia, and I met them, and we left vehicles on one end, and we did a 9-mile hike. And we talked the whole way. As you can tell, I like to talk. Just don't ask me technical terms. This is one of our presentations we recently done.
Are you ready, dear? Oh, we must be sure there's no turning back once we're out the door. Leave your message here on the telephone, 'cause we've no idea when we're coming home. Any place we wander to, any season we go through, I'll be fine as long as I'm with you. Let me know. Let me know. Running around the world with you. When you smile, I smile too. How I ever made it without you. Let me know. Let me know.
And that's just a little quick little video that they that somebody put together, and I started showing it just to be able to introduce a little bit about just on the coast. I can answer some questions about the stuff upstate, but not a lot. But we do have 2 other people like me, Furman and Rob, who is on our webpage email. You can email them anything you like, and they can answer it. So I will take questions of anybody who has a question. Anybody have a, yeah,
I got several questions.
sure,
And I'll just talk loud.
okay,
We moved down here a couple of years ago and have been looking for hiking opportunities. And we learned a bit about the Palmetto Trail, but we're not finding useful information easily understandable about where egress for the trail is, where parking is, anything about the particular trail sections, elevation, length. The information we found so far is very sketchy as far as planning a hike. And also, I'd be particularly interested if you have personal information about some of the trail sections that show less the man of hand, the hand of man, if that expression means anything to you. They're less road-like and more trail-like,
Okay,
more out there.
yeah, and what he's asking is about how do you find the different locations of the trail and where to find information at if you're not. There are a couple of the ways you can find it. One is I can give you my email address and my phone number and you can call. The other one is a website called Palmetto Trail Hikers. It is a website that is not a PCF site, but you can go on there and post any question you want and you can read, and even they have, a lot of people have put their videos of their hikes on there and the information of their hikes and stuff. So, and then the Palmetto Conservation Foundation's website has information. Basically,
What's this one you just mentioned again?
Palmetto Conservation Foundation. And I think they might be changing it to palmettotrail.org, but either one will still get you there right now. They're doing some upgrades to our website, but they are working on updating that. But you can always, and on that Palmetto Conservation webpage is my email address, Furman's, and Rob's if you want to do upstate. But for here on the coast, the trail starts at Buck Hall Recreation Area in Allendale. And it goes all the way till you get to the mountains of South Carolina. You can get on and off anywhere in between you want. They're called passages. The first passage is Allendale, which is 7.1 miles long. You can get on it at Buck Halls. You can get on it at the Allendale Canoe Launch, which is right there off of US 17. And you can also get on it on 17 at the US 17 Highway Trailhead. So you can get on it there. There is maps that are free of charge on the webpage for Palmetto Conservation that will show you each little section. You can download those and print them at home. You can also get an app called Avenza.
That where?
Avenza. It's an
EMDA.
Yeah, and it is, I have it on my phone that I can show you. And you can actually hike and watch yourself hike as you go down the trail. And you can see all the road numbers. I've had them redo it so that it has my road numbers. So you can say, oh, this is road such and such. And you can park here, here. So it is Avenza is a very good app. If you're new, it's an easy app to use. And so it's the only one I know. There's a lot of others out there. All Trails is one. There's a couple of others out there. But the trail is just, because the Francis Marion Forest is wide open, there is no gates that let you on. There's no gates other than gated roads for wildlife protection. There is no gates anywhere on the forest that you just drive onto the forest and enjoy all the roads. I was driving one day and found these little tiny orchids. They were really pretty. I don't know what they were, but I knew they were orchids and I knew they were pretty. But so and our trail on the Allendale Swamp Fox is 99.99% woods hiking. Woods out in the field, in the trees. You can see everything from red cockaded woodpeckers to some days when you're really lucky, you get to see turkeys and deer and hogs, and occasionally a couple times a year I've seen a bear. None of it bothers you. They take off long before you see them. But so those two passages are the passages that are closer around here. Lake Moultrie Passage is the next passage up, going around Lake Moultrie, and it's 30 something miles, I think, I forget now. And then, because I get them all mixed in my head as to which ones, and then up from there you go to Utah Springs, then you go to Santee, Lake Marion, which is where the new trail is going to be. Hey, I'll stand over here, where the canoe trip's gonna be at Sparkleberry. The trail goes right by that landing. It's a beautiful little hike. You can go between Pax and Sparkleberry. It's about 4 miles. A beautiful trail through there, a lot of water scenery, a lot of water flowers, a lot of just, birds and things in there. So really, it's one of my favorite sections to go out and hike.
What
So-
is that one?
Lake Marion, but it's Pax Landing to Sparkleberry Landing.
Patch,
Pax, P-A-C-K-S.
S-P-A-C-S,
P-A-C-K-S.
Patch Mary,
Landing, it's a boat landing.
oh, Patch,
Yeah, and I can,
Boat Landing,
to Sparkleberry.
Sparkleberry.
Yeah, they're doing the canoe trip at Sparkleberry. Sparkleberry is a beautiful swamp. It is very pretty. So, but like I said, I love to hike and I love getting out and taking people out. I've taken a lot of first timers out that was really scared of the woods. By the time we've done a couple of hikes, they have become very much into loving the woods and hiking and not without the fear of what's going to happen. There is nothing on the trail that's going to eat you and hurt you unless you go poke at a snake. It will hurt you. But if you just walk past them and leave them alone, they know you're too big, you won't fit in their mouth. Just go around them, leave them alone, and they'll lay right there and let you look at them as you pass them by. So, as you can tell, I'm not afraid of very much of anything in the woods. After 30-something years, I have never been bit, and I have never been hurt by anything out there, other than a chick. I did get walking out spotted deer. So, but that was my fault. I didn't check. But and is any other questions?
Take others first.
You mentioned specifically the 301 bridge, is that parallel on I probably Lake Mary?
Yes,
Okay, that is part of the trail?
yes. It used to be open.
Yeah.
It got closed during the eclipse. And when they were gonna have an eclipse party, the DOT said, no way, not on this bridge. And they shut the bridge down and put up gates.
And have no, got
They are in the process. It's taken us this long to get through all the process to get it reopened. They're doing a lot of work on it, repairs to it, to make it trail user friendly. So hopefully by the end of spring, they have taken the fences down, which is why hikers, we know that they can't get across it. And, but so a lot of hikers are hiking it, but we just ask that during the weekdays, be mindful that the construction company is working very hard and they're ahead of schedule. And we would like to keep them ahead of schedule. And if they have to deal with a lot of people going and into the middle of them working, it slows them down because they have to watch for hikers and pedestrians. So let them work so that they can get done and we can have it back. They're doing a lot of good work on it.
Marie, could you clarify for the people at home that you're talking about the 301 bridge?
Yeah, that's the 301 bridge that goes between Santee and parallels 95. Because 95 you cannot hike on. It's against the law. So you will.
Who'd want to?
I've actually had some hikers that has done it, and some that have gotten caught and some that has not. But through hikers, and they're going to get across however they got to get across. When they had to, so, but, I can't control any of that.
Do you track how many people through hike?
No, I don't really track them unless, I will tell you that if you ask me to spot you and drop you and all that, I'd like to know you're off the trail. I'm picking up someone tomorrow and dropping them at, Aldo, and they're gonna hike to Whitby. And I'd really like to know you made it. It's like I got ownership at that point. Because I know then you're out there without, somebody else spotting you. So, but yeah, I do track people, but I will drop you when you're a lone person and you want to just go end to end without having to backtrack and get more miles in. If you contact me and I don't have somebody else planned that day already on a weekend or something, I will pick you up or a weekday. I'll pick you up and drop you, leave your vehicle wherever you want it. I don't really charge anything. I just say you can make a donation to the PCF. I'm trying to rebuild a campsite on Lake Moultrie right now, and I'm almost done. Rebuild that campsite on Lake Moultrie. So, but yeah, I will, help you out. It's just something I like to do. And it keeps you from having to double back. So, but yeah, it is a 301 bridge that is opening up the end of spring. You got another question?
Your through hiker suggests there's plenty of potable water along the way. And do these maps have any indication of potable or not? And the other question is there any permitting process for camping? Can you camp anywhere you feel like it?
On Owendale, there is no camping. It's 7.1 miles.
No, I mean from the ocean to the mountains.
There are primitive campsites along the way.
Are you restricted to those from the campsite?
No, you're not restricted to them, but the Forest Service on the Francis Marion has a website you can go to and put in for a permanent permit that you're camping and hiking along the Palmetto, the Swamp Fox Trail. It's free, and it lets them know you're on the trail and that you're camping. The reason the Forest Service does that just is because they are prescribed birding right now. And they want to know where you're at, where you're camping. If they get a wildfire or whatever, they do ride the trail when they're birding, but you know, if you're off with those side trail a little bit, they can miss you. But they want to know that you're on the trail and about where you plan to camp at. You just put about what mile marker you think you're going to camp at your first day, your second day, whatever. And it just lets them know where you're at. So that's, but most of them, I think that's the only one that actually has a permitting. If you're biking, Manchester State Forest has a $5 bike permit that they would like for you to call in, and you get $5, and then you can bike across. And if you get caught biking without your permit, they will ask you. I was gonna turn around. I've only had one person that had not gotten one, and he said he didn't know about it, but anyway. But yeah, there is a bike permit for that. There are buck hauls of pay. On Lake Marion is the only, has a pay at Mill Creek County Park and Quinset State Park are paid. Any other campsites are free. The Forest Service we have a campsite about every 10 miles. That has either a fire ring or picnic table or bench, ever how rustic it is. But there are primitive places. As far as water on the trail, right now there are several streams that are fully running that you can filter water. There is no water that is not water that you have to filter unless you stage it on the trail. DHEC regulations, Santee Cooper and the Forest Service, because of regulations, had to shut all their wells down. So both of them have pulled all their wells and capped them on. And as right now, they're not going to go back in. Because these wells, they'll sit there for 3 or 4 weeks and not get used. And then they're saying that they're not tested properly. And then you got to go back and retest it until you can pump it enough, get the water to where it will test. Okay, so neither one of them. So there is no water unless you pass a store. And that's the kind of information. If you contact me, I can tell you. And on those maps, it has an S if it's a store. It has a little campsite symbol if it's a campsite. And it has a P for parking. And it has a $sign if it's something fee paid. So on those maps, they're pretty detailed as to what's there. And as close as we can make them. Because, you know, stores open and they close, and sometimes they're not there any longer, but, you know, we try to keep them updated as much as possible.
There's a question online. They want to know if you can pitch a tent anywhere or just in designated areas.
You can, with the Forest Service, if you have gotten a permit to camp outside of the primitive areas, then you can pitch your tent along the trail. You find a spot you like. You can hammock camp along the trail as long as you've gotten that permit that says I'm going to camp along Texas about here. Or if you're in one of the 4 or 5 campsites, then, you could pitch a tent anywhere in those campsites. Most of them have 1 or 2 fire rings or rocks for the fire pits, but they, there's enough of area there that multiple people can, pitch a tent and camp. And most of the time, you'll be the only person out there, and you really want to see anybody, so don't come touring by yourself. It's probably not gonna be a good hike for you. But if you don't mind strolling along our trails are 7 feet wide on the swamp box and all in all. And most of the ones up to 601 that I manage are, because we would like for you to take a friend and walk side by side and talk about and look at and enjoy the trail without getting covered in ticks and stuff. So,
What do
they
you
are.
think, what do you think is the best time of year to, avoid the bugs?
Anytime in the winter months, right now it's up in the 80s. The ticks are just starting to come out, so unless we get a frost, they will be out a little more. It's in the 80s in the middle of the day right now, out on the trail, so you can pick up a tick here and there. I've gotten 3 last week. It's just one of those things. Mosquitoes are not out that much, gnats are out a little bit right now. But the flowers and the blooming plants and things are just popping out everywhere out there. So yeah, it's, there's flowers all over.
You alluded to essentially the beginning of the trail as the Swamp Fox passage that we started in the early 70s. In no small part with the Boy Scouts, is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the smallpox was, the smallpox passage was the original trail that was built by Boy Scouts, and from my understanding in the 70s. And it is an historic trail. So that's, its name has been kept as the smallpox passage, even though it continues all the way to 52, but the original trail went from US 17 over to what was Hugie Park. And Hugie Park is still there. It's, it has one of the only flowing springs on the coast. And everybody from miles around goes there and collects water. It makes a beautiful red tea, but it flows year round, 24 hours, 7 days a week, out of a pipe down at the landing. So, but Hugie Park is where the original, trail ended, but now it doesn't go to Hugie Park. It goes along the only beach forest it goes through Irishtown. And if you want to see the traditional beach forest, go hike that Irishtown section from 41 to Eccles Church. And there's a beautiful beach forest in there that you can walk through.
What was the other end of Hugie Park to
US
17?
17,
US 17.
yes.
So what is your favorite passage?
Probably only because I put a lot of the energy in fixing Paxton Sparkle area. And because there's just so much water there to see all the water plants there and all in all, and the rail trails through Watery.
So you're saying that's your favorite passage? Trying to make that.
Yeah. Smallpox, it will always be my heart because I have spent 39 years on the Francis Marion Forest, and I retired one day and started to work with PCO the next day. So it tells you kind of how much I love that trail. And so I will probably still be doing it as a, not so much a paid person, because we only get 3 days a week, but I'm out there all the time. Like I said, I'm working tomorrow, but I'm not working because I'm going out to meet people and pick them up, and drop them, and hike a little bit with them. And, but yeah, if you decide anytime you want to be adventurous, I can help you out. I do travel also up and down. I just moved, fixing to. I have a little house I'm working on in the mountains. So if you decide you want to do some of the passages up in the mountains, around Mountain Rest, which is where the end of the trail is, at the bike park that's up there, just let me know. I always go see my granddaughter. It's a good reason. I love to meet somebody. I can come to the house. And so, yeah, we are in the process of having a little place up there to see. But yeah, it's, it's a beautiful trail. And it's just diversity of it is just, I mean, unreal as to how many ecosystems you'll cross and how much of diversity in plant life you're gonna see as you maneuver across.
Did you say how long it takes to do the whole trail?
The whole trail takes an average hiker about 5 to 6 weeks hiking through it as a through hiker, a true through hiker. Now it has been run in like 7 days. Now, if you go to the, they actually has the record for running that trail in distance. And there's these two guys did it together. One of them was a little day ahead of the other one finishing. I can't believe he left his partner behind. So he could be first. But anyway, and so but they did do it in less than about a week. They did the whole trail run. So right now, the Santee Passage is beautiful because the beech trees are blooming in Utahville. And so if you love to hike through beaches, and see all the blooms, you can hike the Santee Passage through the peach orchards and see all the peach trees in bloom, or give it a couple of months and the peaches will be on those trees. And I do know that hikers kind of wandered off the trail a little bit to pick a beach to eat along their way. So in June, July, there'll be more beaches out there. So those blooms will turn into beaches. But other than that, it's just, like I said, this diversity out there is High Heels, I will warn you, has the only sand hills on the Palmetto Trail. Now, I will tell you that every hiker and biker, and most bikers give off and push their bicycles to the sand beds, but it is like walking through big sand that is really rough. So partly because it's also a shared horse trail, but it is deep sand beds. And I grew up in sand country, so I know what walking through sand beds are. And if you're walking in sandals in the summertime, it gets really hot in your feet. So just a word of warning, it's like walking on beach sand that is very powder dry and it will wear you out for that little short distance, but we want to make sure you get the full effect of everything South Carolina has to offer you. The good, the bad.
One small comment, many people probably don't know, but the trail does it not go through downtown Columbia and crosses the Capitol grounds?
Yep, it goes by the Capitol. So you will be able to see the Capitol City. It's called the Capitol City Passage. So it will go over a lot of the rivers. Wateree River, it will cross the new passage is going to go through the Wateree Reserve that DNR now owns. And that whole off the 378, you go over the two Wateree bridges that they're rebuilding right now. Off to the right, there is a big preserve called the Wateree Preserve, and it's going to meander through there. And so there'll be a lot of diversity up in that area that will take, you get to go through the military base, but you have to get permits and fill out some paperwork ahead of time. You can go through Fort Jackson, through their gates, but you get checked and give you a blessing. You can keep right on going. So Fort Jackson is a little more challenging than some. So is there anything else?
Does it go through any other towns or cities?
Goes through Newberry, Pomeria. It goes to Greenville. It goes through here locally, it goes through Bono, which is a little tiny town. It goes through about 4 miles. But most of it is secluded. And so that's why I said that, a lot of times you'll be hiking and you probably will not, unless you take a part, you won't see anybody. So yeah.
Is there somewhere to know which of the more less traveled parts of the trail for people who like quiet and secluded?
Pretty much any of them that is not like the Wateree is because it's a gravel trail. The primary to, Peak Prosperity is a busy trail because it's a gravel trail. We have 2 gravel trails. And then all in all, because it's right on the intercoastal waterway, on a Saturday or Sunday, it may be a little bit busier. The weekdays, I don't see very many people out there when I'm working on it. But for the most part, when I'm out there working on the trail during the week, I don't ever see anyone.
On any of the trails.
No, not really, not much. I'll see it. Yeah, if you get up around Columbia and Fort Jackson, when you get up into Fort Jackson, of course, you're gonna see Columbia, you're gonna see people, there's a lot of street hiking. When you get up to, I'm trying to think of the name of the town, where the School of the Blind is up above Columbia, up near Croft, maybe Newberry. There's a, section through there that goes through town. And so there are some sections that go through town, so those are gonna see. If you go out on Swamp Fox Passage, or all dog during the week, you might see 1 or 2. More than likely in the weekdays, if you hike Swamp Fox, you probably won't see. I saw 2 people last week, and I think that was it. Are there any more on there? Any questions?
Yes, one more. Elevation, is there any elevation? Or is there-
Well, yeah, there actually is. Yeah, believe it or not, we actually do have elevation changes even on Swamp Fox.
There are some.
There are some. The Allendale has, because of all the creeks that feed out to the ocean, there's a little bit, but, the first elevation that's really elevation that you're going to hit is gonna be on the Poinsett State Park. And, and when you get up into the mountains. And I think the elevation is around 2,000 feet or so up there. And those
And
maps,
outside of these maps, I don't see any topographical markings.
there, most of them don't, but you see the little grid at the bottom. It
Yeah.
shows you where it
Okay,
goes
yeah, that's
up and
useful.
down, that blue and
Okay.
green, that will show you. And then all the symbols, and these are the maps that you will actually see yourself walking on if you have a Benson on your,
That's at 2,782.
yeah.
Okay. thank you.
So it goes from flat to mountains. So you can go up to, by the time you get to, Poinsett State Park has the first hills that you're really gonna see. It's a beautiful hiking and biking up there. And then it's a very beautiful little state park that very much not known about. And all the trails they have in there, they have more than just the Swamp Fox Trail, I mean, the Palmetto Trail. Excuse me. But they do have a lot of trails there that you can hike and bike.
Will you give us your name and ways to contact you, please?
I will, but, anybody that wants my email and my phone number, I would gladly leave it with you whenever we get done.
It's on the website.
My email is on the website, it's just mbutler@palmettoconservation.org. Unless somebody emails me, I don't give them my phone number on the website. So it's, but it's just M. Butler.
Right down.
Yeah.
So I can make sure anybody that needs it, that you've got it correct. And my phone number, so if you get out, and you wanna, you just call
We get lost.
me. I get a lot of phone calls. I have one man that calls me 3 times a day. You check going like, and asking me questions and stuff, and I'm like, okay.
Right, all right.
Well, it was his life, he was through hiking, he was in his 80s, and it was his last goal to do this. And I spotted him all the way from the coast to the mountains. And, it was his wish. And so I was making a wish, and he was in his 80s, but he made it as all the way. I staged his water and resupplied him and everything. So,
Is,
Yeah.
my phone number is 843-359-8775. And this pine pollen is just killing me. It's like,
The pollen.
It wasn't.
There's a lot. It
Yeah.
seems like it came earlier. I mean, I'm not from here, but it's
The
like
red
miles.
bugs.
It is.
Yeah, the red bugs
Like, I
are
don't-
blooming. Everything is blooming out. Feel right
Yeah.
in the woods right now.
Is it so?
It's muggy and hot
Yeah.
out there because of the rains every week. It's just muggy, it's hot, but the mosquitoes is not out yet, so. That's a good thing.
Climate change,
Oh, it's just change.
global weirding, as I.
Okay, anything else?
All the passages made to accommodate bicycles.
There are a few places you cannot bike. If you look on the website, the passage will tell you whether you can bike it or not. Everything from the coast to, 60 to Columbia can be biked. Now, it cannot be e-biked. They still do not allow, the Forest Service and Santee Cooper still do not allow e-bikes on the trail.
Those are those fat wheel ones?
No, those
Anything
are,
with
that
motor.
is,
Oh, motorized.
no, there's no, even though they're quiet. It says no motorized vehicles, an e-bike has a motor. Therefore, it is a motorized vehicle. It's battery, but it is a motor. It propels it to go without you pedaling. So, they say, no. Saying, I will tell you the Lake Moultrie is if you have a trike, you need to be able to pick it up, move it, or get it under the gates, because things, Lake Moultrie has gates that do not allow ATVs to walk, get around them in any way. It is a protected dike, and so it's hard to get a trike under those gates and around the gates. So just make sure if you've got a 3-wheel trike that you're pedaling, that you have enough strength to maneuver it to get it over or under, because you won't usually get it around. Bikes are not an issue, but hiking is not an issue, but I have heard that trikes are. And I did address that issue, and I was told that they're not gonna change their gate configuration. It's that way because of ATV use on the canal, and the canals are protected. And so that will not change.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Marie, and thank you for everyone in our home audience and our live in-person audience. And we really appreciate y'all. Look forward to seeing you this weekend at our Oyster Rose and at our future outings, because we do have outings coming up on the Coconut Trail. Look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you for coming.